When retirement time neared, we had a discussion with my wife, and we agreed that we would not retire in a place where there was a big Adventist community. We wanted to retire in a place where there were no Adventists. Our desire being to start a church, especially among the Xitsonga speaking people. Our church is not known in this area. So we came here because these people speak our language, and there was no Adventist work in this area. So we said that's the area we would like to retire so that we can start a church. But things were not to be as easy as we thought. Traditionally, we pitch up a tent, people will come, you preach, baptize, and start a church. But when I came here, I found that it was quite different. Pitch up a tent, we pitched it up some 21 kilometers from here, in some village there. And the first night, people didn't turn up. The second night, people didn't turn up. The third night, there was almost nobody in the tent. When we made home visitation to find out, people were saying, well, we have got revival meetings in our churches. As soon as the pastor saw that there was a strange pastor in the area, they would start up meetings also to revival meetings. And later on, they would go for a week or two, but I would go for 6 weeks. And they would tell people not to come to my meetings. And to scare people off, they would say, that man is a Satanist, you don't go there. And in that way, we couldn't start a church. However, there was one thing that was concerning me. There were funerals, funeral after funeral. Sometimes we'd have 2 funerals in this little village. 2 funerals a week, 3 funerals a week. And I discovered that the people who were dying were not old people. It was mostly young people leaving children behind. And that, struck a familiar note in my heart. I had grown up as an orphan myself. My father died when I was very young, only 14. And being the eldest son in the home, the family, I had to abandon school and go at the age of 15, start working to fend for the family. So, and what made me leave school at that age and go and get employment is because there were several days where we would go without food. But this one time, we went 4 solid days without a morsel of bread in our mouths. And my younger brother was already fainting from hunger. And I couldn't stand it. So I decided to leave home to go and get some employment so that I can be able to sustain my mother and my little brother. So when I saw these young people dying, living orphans, that thing, I remembered where I'd come from. And we started with my wife to work. I would come home and take whatever was in the house to go and help the bereaved family. She would do the same, and we felt that it was not working. And we started praying about it. Then one day, at that time, being on retirement, the conference president had asked me to pastor some churches in the area. Most of them are up there in Nelspruit, White River, that side, Babaton. And these were 16 congregations which I had to take care of. And then one day I was preaching in one of these churches on forgiveness. When I finished preaching, a young lady came to me. By the way, last time when we were here, Pastor Dipili, you remember a young lady we prayed for in the church? That's the one. She came to me and said, Pastor, I'm HIV positive. And it shocked me a bit. And she saw that and she asked me if she was still welcome to worship with us. And she was saying that because many have been kicked out of churches and families. And because of that, I started asking the Lord to tell me exactly what to do. And at a workers' meeting, a union-wide ministerial workers' meeting, somebody came who was not of our church. He came and spoke about the church and HIV and AIDS. And he said, especially you, Seventh-day Adventists, what are you doing about it? It is there where I caught the vision of bringing pastors of different denominations together and for us to start an organization like this, because the advice was, if you come alone as an Adventist or as a Dutch Reformed minister, the government won't even recognize you. But if you come as a group of pastors together, a group of churches together, and as a faith-based organization, then you will access funds from the government. That's how we got started with this.